The day had started like any other, peaceful and routine, yet brimming with an underlying warmth that made our home feel like a sanctuary. I had always taken pride in the life we built, a small but tightly knit family where trust was the foundation. My son Adam was the heart of it. At 23, he was everything a parent could hope for. Charismatic, intelligent, and kind-hearted. People often told me how lucky I was, and I believed them. Adam had a way of lighting up the room. His laughter infectious and his spirit undeniable. He had been with Chloe for nearly 2 years, a relationship that seemed as steady as a well-built bridge. She wasn't just his girlfriend. She was a part of our family. Chloe had a calming presence, balancing Adam's energy with her quiet strength. She spent weekends with us, joined in family dinners, and even celebrated holidays at our side. I often found myself imagining their future, how beautiful they would look on their wedding day, the laughter of grandchildren echoing in our home someday. But lately something felt off. It started subtly, so much so that I questioned whether I was imagining it. Adam, who was always quick to share stories of his day, had grown quieter. He seemed distracted, his phone a near-constant companion, buzzing with messages he would hurriedly respond to before tucking it away. I attributed it to stress or perhaps a phase he was going through, dismissing my unease as overthinking. After all, what parent didn't worry unnecessarily at times? That night, as I sat folding laundry, Adam passed by with a brief, "I'll be back later." There was a casualness to his tone, but his eyes avoided mine. A detail so small, yet it planted a seed of doubt. I told myself not to pry, to respect his independence, but the feeling lingered. Memories of his childhood flashed through my mind. Adam had always been transparent with me, even during his rebellious teenage years. He would talk about his struggles, his dreams, and even the mistakes he made. That openness was what made me trust him implicitly. But now there was a barrier, a wall that hadn't been there before. I tried to brush it off, focusing instead on the ordinary tasks that filled my day. Still, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. It was as though a quiet storm was brewing, invisible yet undeniable, threatening to upend the harmony we had worked so hard to create. Perhaps I didn't want to face the truth because it meant acknowledging that the son I knew and cherished might not be the same anymore. Trust is fragile, built over years but capable of crumbling in moments. Little did I know that by the end of that night, everything I held as certain would be questioned. Later that evening, as I cleaned up after dinner, I noticed Adam's phone on the kitchen counter. It wasn't like him to leave it unattended, and the sight of it triggered an inexplicable unease in me. I hesitated, torn between respecting his privacy and addressing the growing suspicions I couldn't shake. Before I could stop myself, I glanced at the screen. A message had popped up. "Can't wait to see you again tonight, Redheart, Jenna." My heart sank. For a moment I stood frozen, the weight of that single message suffocating. Jenna. It wasn't a name I recognized, and the implication behind her words left no room for doubt. The clarity of it was both shocking and devastating. My mind raced, piecing together every odd behavior I had dismissed in the past few weeks. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the distracted demeanor. It all pointed to a truth I hadn't wanted to confront. I tried to calm myself, rationalize even, but the evidence was undeniable. I waited until Adam returned home, his usual confidence now feeling like a thin veneer. Confrontation wasn't my strength, but this wasn't something I could ignore. "Adam," I began, my voice steadier than I expected. "Can we talk?" He glanced at me, his casual smile faltering. "Sure." "What's up?" he replied, though his tone was laced with caution. I didn't waste time on preambles. "I saw a message on your phone. From someone named Jenna." The color drained from his face. For a moment he looked like the boy I used to know, caught, vulnerable, unsure. Then his expression hardened, his defenses rising. "Mom, it's not what you think," he said quickly. "Then explain it to me," I countered, refusing to let him dodge the issue. He sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair. "Jenna is Someone I met a few weeks ago. It's not serious. It's complicated. Not serious. My voice wavered, the betrayal cutting deeper than I'd expected. Adam, you're with Chloe. She loves you. She trusts you. And this isn't just about her. It's about who you are. The man you're choosing to be. He looked away, unable to meet my eyes. I didn't plan for this to happen. I care about Chloe, but I don't know. I guess I got caught up in something new, something different. His words stung, not just for what they revealed about his actions but for what they suggested about his character. This wasn't the Adam I thought I knew, the boy who had grown up with honesty as his cornerstone. I wanted to scream, to shake him, to make him understand the gravity of what he was doing. But I also knew anger wouldn't solve anything. Adam, I said softly, you have a choice to make. And it's not just about Chloe. It's about the kind of person you want to be. Right now, you're letting everyone down, including yourself. He didn't respond, and the silence between us was deafening. I could see the conflict in his eyes, the battle between denial and guilt. But for the first time, I felt the rift between us, a gap that trust had once bridged but now threatened to leave us both standing on opposite sides. The next morning, Chloe showed up at the house, her usual warmth lighting up the room. She greeted me with a hug, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. I felt a pang of guilt as I looked at her, torn between protecting her from the truth and the growing need to confront Adam's betrayal head-on. I couldn't keep it to myself any longer. Pulling Chloe aside, I told her everything, what I'd seen, what Adam had admitted, and the turmoil it had caused. She sat in stunned silence, her face a mixture of disbelief and heartbreak. "Are you sure?" she finally whispered, her voice trembling. I nodded, unable to sugarcoat the reality. "I didn't want to believe it either, Chloe, but it's true. I felt you deserved to know." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away, a steely determination taking their place. "I need to talk to him," she said, her tone firm despite the pain. When Adam came home later that day, the confrontation was immediate. Chloe didn't waste time on pleasantries or small talk. "Adam," she said, her voice steady but laced with emotion, "who is Jenna?" The question hit him like a blow. He glanced at me, realizing I had told her, but there was no anger in his expression, just defeat. "Chloe, He began, but she cut him off. "Don't. Just tell me the truth. After everything we've been through, I think I at least deserve that." Adam hesitated before finally speaking. "Jenna is someone I met a while ago. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Chloe's face crumpled for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. "A mistake," she repeated, her voice rising. "You don't accidentally betray someone, Adam. You don't just stumble into this." The argument escalated, their voices echoing through the house. Adam tried to justify his actions, saying he had felt stuck, that he didn't know how to handle the monotony of their relationship. But Chloe wasn't having it. "You felt stuck, so you threw away everything we had. How is that fair to me? To us?" Standing in the doorway, I watched the scene unfold, feeling powerless to stop the damage. My husband tried to intervene, urging them to calm down, but it was too late. The trust between them had already shattered, and the raw emotions spilled out like an unstoppable tide. Chloe eventually stormed out, tears streaming down her face. Adam sat on the couch, his head in his hands, looking utterly lost. I approached him cautiously, unsure of what to say. "Do you see what you've done?" I asked quietly. He didn't respond, and for the first time I saw regret etched into his features. But regret wasn't enough to fix what he had broken. As a parent, it was agonizing to watch him self-destruct, to see the ripple effects of his choices tearing through the lives of those who cared about him most. The house felt heavy that evening, the silence almost unbearable. No words could undo the damage, and I was left wondering how, or if we could ever move forward from this. The days that followed were a blur of strained conversations and unspoken tension. Chloe hadn't returned any of Adam's calls, and he wandered the house like a shadow of himself. The vibrant, confident young man I had known seemed to have vanished, replaced by someone grappling with the weight of his mistakes. For a while, I let the silence stretch, hoping it would force Adam to confront his actions fully. But as a parent, watching him spiral into guilt and confusion, I knew I had to step in. One evening, I sat him down in the living room, determined to make him face the reality of what he had done. "Adam," I began gently but firmly, "this isn't just about Chloe or Jenna. It's about you. You've hurt people who care about you, and it's time to take responsibility for that." He nodded slowly, his expression somber. "I know, Mom. I don't even know who I am anymore. I thought I could handle everything, but I've just made it worse." "That's the thing," I said, leaning forward. "You can't undo the past, but you can learn from it. Apologies mean nothing if they aren't backed by change. What kind of man do you want to be?" Adam stayed silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on the floor. Then he said, almost to himself, "I want to make things right. Even if Chloe never forgives me, I need to try." Over the next few days he started taking small steps. He wrote Chloe a heartfelt letter, apologizing without making excuses and acknowledging the pain he had caused. He began opening up to me and his father, sharing his struggles with commitment and the pressures he had felt but never voiced. For the first time in weeks, I saw glimpses of the son I knew, the one who took ownership of his mistakes and genuinely wanted to grow. Chloe eventually agreed to meet him, though her guard was up. The conversation was tense but civil, with Adam expressing his regret and Chloe laying bare the hurt she had endured. While she didn't offer him a second chance, she left the door open for future reconciliation. It wasn't the resolution he had hoped for, but it was enough to give him a sense of closure and a path forward. At home, the air began to lighten, though the scars remained. My husband and I worked through our own tensions, rediscovering the balance that had been disrupted by the ordeal. We talked more openly, acknowledging the challenges of parenting an adult child and the limits of our control. As for Adam, he seemed to understand the gravity of his actions in a way he hadn't before. He sought counseling, not just for his relationships but to better understand himself and the patterns that had led him down this path. Watching him take those steps was bittersweet, a reminder of the pain he had caused but also of his capacity for change. Life didn't return to normal, but it found a new rhythm. Trust, once broken, is never fully restored, but it can be rebuilt piece by piece. And while the future remained uncertain, I held on to hope. Hope that Adam had learned what truly mattered. Hope that he would carry those lessons into every relationship, every choice, every moment of his life moving forward.